Episode 33, I Kiss. Freddy is made fun of over not having his first kiss. So how do I feel about this episode? I personally think it's pretty good. I believe what really makes this episode work is how clever the plot is. The plot actually moves unlike the bad or even meh episodes of Season 1, and I really do enjoy how the end of the episode played out by the end. In fact, one detail I like is that even though it's revealed Sam never had her first kiss, at least before the episode started, she lies about having one, even still coming off as dismissive as she just randomly leaves the room. However, what makes this episode really good, and probably the main reason why an episode like this slightly doesn't work, or really doesn't work for that matter, at all, is that Freddy is thrown under the bus for something really petty. I mean, the target audience for iCarly, let's be real, are children and maybe younger teens, so they could probably relate to not having their first kiss, but not only is this teasing a bit exaggerated, but Sam actually gets called out by Carly before their webcast in the end, and it's really gratifying, and overall, really brings up Carly's character a lot. Also, while we're here, I can actually say this now, the acting in Season 2 is so much better than Season 1. I can actually feel what Carly was feeling when calling Sam out. I can even feel Sam's guilt when it happens, even though I think Jeanette McCurdy was already the best actor of the cast in Season 1, if I'm going to be honest. Either her or Jerry Trainer, but anyway. The last scene was really well shot, too. Freddy's just sitting in the balcony of his place, just chilling, but still a bit depressed. Sam and Freddy talk, and by the end, they agree to kiss just to get it over with, which is a plausible reason. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to kiss my arch enemy anytime soon, but then again, I already had my first kiss, so what do I know? Overall, I understand why some people don't like this episode that much, but honestly, if you don't take it that much seriously, then you'll find some good qualities out of it, and overall, I think it's a pretty good episode. It's gonna be quick. Episode 34, I Give Away a Car. Carly, Sam, and Freddy promise a new car for Neville, their arch enemy, after doing this car deal. Well, since this is a Neville episode, you guys know that I'm either going to think it's decent, or I'm going to think it's going to be meh. Well, yeah, it's a meh episode. I'll be fair and say this episode, unlike other meh episodes, isn't mundane, but I just feel that literally nobody here except Spencer is really likable. I understand making Neville obnoxious because he's the antagonist, but I don't know. It seems like in the second half, when the crew ain't whining or being angry or taking long showers, they come off as incredibly irritated, and it gets grating to watch after a while. I mean, it's not like it's unjustified, but even still, it just makes this episode a bit drab, if you will. I will admit, other than the flaws I mentioned, the episode is overall just fine, and that's why admittedly it wasn't that far away from being good, but even still, the episode for me is just slightly above average. Episode 35, iRocked the Vote. The iCarly crew have to deal with a scumbag named Wade Collins because they felt bad over him losing a competition in which they, quote-unquote, rocked the vote. This episode, I'll admit, is one of the few episodes of Mr. Schneider's resume that has grown on me over time. I don't even know why, but yeah, at first I thought this episode was meh, but now I find it really good. Why? Because the episode is really funny. This Wade Collins guy is really obnoxious, but literally everyone around him, except his mother, of course, hates him. Okay, fine, I believe the reason why I considered it meh at first because the episode actually does have a slew of minor issues. The beginning gag with Sam looking for his phone is dumb, but I will admit it grew on me over time. Wade should have gotten actual comeuppance at the end. I just really hate Wade's mom, and it's a minor thing, and maybe, in universe it's supposed to be well made, but the music video that Freddy makes does not look impressive at all. But other than that, I find this episode to be pretty good. I know some people won't dig the stereotypical snobby Brits gag they have in, but I find it just fine. I don't really take offense to it because I'm not British, but I don't think anyone else should really. And overall, I find this episode to be pretty funny. Alright, episode 36, iMeet Fred. Freddy says live on iCarly that he is not a fan of the internet phenomenon, in quotes by the way, Fred. Okay, so how do I feel about this episode? I love it. The comedy is literally magic. Oh, who am I kidding? This is an awful episode. 5, 4, 3, 2, bad. Without a doubt, this episode is just... when I say this terrible, it's... like every single way this episode fails. I'm sorry. The story is so dumb and has very flawed logic. The comedy ranges from downright mean and offensive torture humor towards someone for basically no reason to not even trying. In terms of literally entertaining the audience, the episode just fails. Alright, so let's just take some steps back. Let's get to the lesser of all the evils in this episode. The Spencer subplot is so stupid. Not even like in the funny stupid, just cringy stupid. To give it at least a little bit of credit, the only, and I mean the only funny shtick in the entire episode is when Spencer buys an ostrich, and Carly asks, "What is that?" And he says, "A smoothie." Not gonna lie, that episode has been memeified for a good reason, or that scene has been memeified for a good reason. It's just a shame that the rest of the episode is just downright atrocious. Alright, so let's get to the elephant in the room. The reason why I and so many other people actually find this episode just downright abysmal is the awful, horrible, nasty treatment of Freddy. Okay, so in the beginning of the episode, Freddy says live on iCarly that he is not a fan of Fred. He doesn't go on a rant about him, he's just respectful about it, and then the next day he gets attacked in school. It's not even, just like comedically over the top like in I Kiss, this just, for me, it's just irritating, just flat out. He gets kicked out of clubs, he gets verbally hurt by people, he's neglected. And yes, I get the joke that he's supposed to be exaggerated, but at the same time, it's literally like most of the episode. Granted, Carly and Sam get some flack for it too, but it's not nearly to the extent of Freddy. It's just nasty, unjustified, beyond cringy, and very dumb. I'm probably going to have a separate video going in depth with this episode because it is one of the worst episodes in the show, just straight up. Oh, what happens at the climax? You would think Fred would apologize to Freddy for everything he's been through, but nope. Well, Fred is apologizing to Carly of all people. Freddy is just getting beaten up by Sam for not liking Fred. Might I add, by the way, that if I'm going to be honest, I don't see how Freddy's taste of humor is anything more sophisticated or complex, or really any different compared to anything Fred does. If anything, I would see the stuff in iCarly is even more complicated and juvenile than Freddy. But then again, what do I know? I never really spent any of my time really watching Fred videos, so for all I know, he makes Dora the freaking Explorer look like The Walking Dead. Ugh. My point is, Fred should apologize to Freddy, and overall, this episode is just just the bottom of the barrel for me. One joke that has basically become a meme at this point, that's cool, but other than that, just everything about this episode is just wrong and stupid, and I just never want to see it ever again. Alright. Let's start now. 1, 2, 3. Episode 37, I Look Alike. Carly, Sam, and Freddy go meet a boxer named Jackson Colt, but Spencer won't allow them to, so they have doubles of them in our Carly studio as they're doing so. Christ, I cannot stand this episode for one single reason. Literally, the one time Spencer is an actual responsible adult is the one time where he is seen in the wrong. Let me explain. So, like I said, the iCarly crew want to film a show, at the boxing match, but Spencer is too concerned for Carly's safety and doesn't believe that she should go. However, Carly goes anyway, and the double idea they got here is not a bad idea at all, but no, when they get to the boxing match, that's the real issue. When they film the webcast, Spencer shows up justifiably flustered, and it's quite the change of pace, to put it lightly, to see Spencer irate. But then he ends up getting thrown into a table by this big husky dude, Jackson Colt, who kind of reminds me of myself in 20 years, but anyway. Basically, the blow that this Jackson dude throws at him leaves him unconscious for the rest of the episode. Yeah, Spencer is nearly killed for actually being in the right for once. One job, guys. One job. I should mention that I actually quite like this Jackson Colt character, in all honesty. He's so over the top and big that it's not hard not to love him, and his son Kevin is pretty chill. The rest of the episode actually isn't horrible, I'll be honest. The comedy isn't really that abysmal, as I chuckled at a few things, such as Freddy's look-alike being a toilet according to Sam, or Sam's recorded quip, I don't know, just bring me a bucket of fried chicken. Those few moments that do make me grin, those few moments do make me grin, so this episode is better than the last, which really isn't saying much. But, overall, the dumb irony here is downright fatal, and I have to give it a 5.4 due to bad rating. Episode 38, I Want My Website Back. The iCarly crew, like the title says, have to get their website back, as Neville taken their URL and have control over the website. This episode is the definition of meh quality, because it has one big thing I like about it and one big thing I dislike about it. The thing I like is the climax, because it's surprising and also quite funny. Carly gets Neville to sign the paper in return, he gets to kiss her, but he doesn't end up doing so because Carly is taken up by a fishing rod that Spencer ends up having. Which reminds me, I love the subplot with Spencer. It's so nonsensical that I love it, and despite having a bunch of pillows, it's not something you'll be it's so not like the plot is so nonsensical that I love it, and despite it having a whole bunch of pillows in it, it's not something you would sleep on. Yeah, sorry, that pun was funnier in my head. However, the main problem is that the premise itself is way too complicated for no reason. Instead of going the route of maybe Neville hacking iCarly or anything along those lines, they go with the idea of him having to have the paperwork that has him claim the website or something like that. And quite frankly, for the target audience, that's just going to blow over someone's head. Look, I'm 17, so I get it, at least the tip of the iceberg. But my point is that it's just way too complicated. It's way too needlessly complicated for me, or not for me, but like just no for the target audience. Also, outside of the ending and Spencer's subplot, the episode is not that funny. Also, I forgot to mention Mandy is back, and this is her last appearance, I believe, and I still don't like her. She's not really compelling, the iCarly superfan shtick got old, and the duck mask gets only so funny for so long. I will admit there is one phenomenal scene other than the ending, and that's where Spencer is in drag and tries to get Neville to sign the document, but this old guy hits on him, and the the whole scene is better watched than said, but it's quite funny. Other than that, this episode is meh. To be honest, writing the script, I actually have realized that it's not as on the low side of meh as I made it out to be. I mean, of the Neville episodes, I think it's better than I Give Away a Car, but that episode at least was slightly funnier. Overall, I find this episode to be pretty meh. Episode 39. I make Sam girlier. Sam's tired of being seen as a violent girl, so she wants to become a girlier. One thing I found stupid when I was younger and find really funny in hindsight is that when they try to sing Happy Birthday, Freddie bursts out PD, which means public domain, and instead they sing Jolly Good Fellow. If you don't know, Happy Birthday to you. Okay, if you didn't know, the Happy Birthday song was actually copyrighted and couldn't be used in TV shows until like 2015, where the claim was rightfully invalid and now it's public domain. Thank God, because it was really stupid. But anyway, I can go on and on about how incredibly stupid that is, but whatever, it's public domain now. So how I feel about the episode itself is actually pretty good. It's not amazing, it's not comedy gold, but it's a pleasure to watch. I honestly don't have much to say about this episode. I just find it to be a pretty good and solid episode. It has a nice setup, has a pretty good story, and even has a satisfying and well built up climax. Kind of wish Sam and this Pete dude actually went out for reals, but what can you do? Overall, the episode is pretty funny, has a pretty good plot, and overall, I quite enjoy it. And that's the end of iCarly Season 2, Part 2. I'll see you for the next part.